Hi all. I am really very sorry for losing my head in my last post. I'm a bit embarrassed, which is funny only because this is anonymous, and the only person in real life that knows this is me is Sunny. I was in a bad place when I was typing. I'm doing a smidge better now, and when I started to write this, I was at a brewery, and Sunny was on her way. She had to run some errands, as were some other friends. Sunny gave them the lowdown to come and cheer me up. Actually, I kind of laughed a bit when I hit post because it showed me the published post, but there was a thing on it. Sunny called it a flare, and it said XL. And when I asked her what that meant, she said it meant extra long. And I was like, damn, I'm copping shade from Automod bots now? LOL. But I guess you're here to hear how the video call went. The short is, not pretty. The long is, long. So per usual, here's my disclaimer. This will be novel with lots of info, but you get candy if you make it to the end. I'm an educator and not above bribery, LMAO. Sorry, it's the beer, or at least that's my story, and I am sticking to it. So, I logged onto the Zoom link. Mom sent everyone and sat on the couch next to Sunny. She wasn't in view at this point, so it just looked like I was on a couch with my dog. Mom was already logged in and waiting. Dad was logged in too, but his mic and camera were off. I noticed they were logged in separately immediately, since they usually log in together on one account and sit together on family video chats unless Mom's work causes her to not be in town. She said she was glad I was logged in first and asked me how I was holding up. I was honest and said, "Not great," and she just nodded. I asked about her, and she smiled and said, "Not great," and it was my turn to nod. She said she thinks she's got an idea of all that happened and apologized for not checking in with me more when I was young. She said since Dad was the consistently home parent, she simply trusted his conclusions. And when I refused to speak with her and the therapist, she assumed it was because what was said of me was true and I was just ashamed. She made a point to say, "That doesn't mean I blame you. I'm the parent. I should have pressed." I shrugged and muttered something like, "Well, I didn't make it easy, Mom." And she shook her head and said nothing about parenting is supposed to be easy, but she took the easy road and it wasn't fair to me. I was going to respond, but the clock hit the new hour, so everyone else was logging on. Eldest brother John was on with his wife Sarah. Jacob came on with his BF Kyle. Jonas and Jeremy both respectively are on by themselves, and of course Violet comes on with Daniel. They are holding hands. And then myself, Lily, am seemingly on by myself. Mom asked my father if he was there, and he said he was, but kept his camera off. Mom then said, "I am gently requesting we all have our cameras on. This tool is for communication over distances, not creating more distance." There was a beat, and Dad turned on his camera with one of those fake backgrounds, but as he moved around and it glitched a bit, it was very clear he was in a hotel room. Honestly, both of my parents looked tired, and we all noticed it, but we just didn't have the balls to ask WTF. Mom started with a smile, thanking everyone for joining for something so last minute, and quickly said, "I know usually I call this sort of thing last minute like this because of a death. No one has died." I could see my eldest brother sort of relax a bit, and I can't blame him as we've had a string of deaths of some elder members of the extended family. Mom went on to say, "Daniel, I am pleased you could make it." And he said he couldn't stay long as he has an important meeting. Mom's smile didn't falter for a second, and she said this sort of thing might take a little time, and she hopes whoever he has lined up to meet next is understanding that this here is an important meeting. "I've been having some really tough discussions with a few of you in this room," she says, and she goes on to say that communication and honesty will be valued here, and asked Violet how aware she was about the situation with me and Daniel. Violet folds her arms immediately and explains that, from what I understand, Lily and Daniel didn't get on well when we were kids, and she hit him once. We're trying to leave it be for the wedding. Mom asks me, "Did you hit Daniel ever?" I said yes, so she asks why, and I say that if it's the time I got in trouble with my coach, then it was because Daniel called me Lumpy Lily and pushed me hard enough for me to fall. Mom asks Daniel if that's true, and he shrugs and says, "Mama, that was over 10 years ago. I don't really remember." Mom lets silence reign for a moment, and then asked my dad if he remembered anything about it. Dad seemed annoyed and said that he was told by the school that I started a fight and bullied a kid, and there are other students who vouched for Daniel's version. Mom was nodding and listening, and then asked, "Does anyone have anything to add about this?" And at first, no one said anything. So I just added that of the kids that backed Daniel up. 2 are now in the wedding party group chat as groomsmen, 1 being the best man. Mom said, "Yes, I know I talked to Harvey actually earlier today." And she left it there. I know this tactic as she used it on us kids many times growing up. She dangles that she spoke to someone in the know. Sometimes it's a bluff and sometimes it's not. But you best fess up because if it isn't bluffing, she will nail you to the wall for not coming clean. Harsh, but effective. Guess it works on adults too, because Daniel looked at Violet and muttered something and then said that he did remember that he and I sometimes just didn't like each other. He said he didn't know why or where the problem started because his mother was sick at the time and his dad was never home because he was working so much. He then said to me, "So sorry, Lily, if I ever did anything to upset you." Well, shoot started to hit the fan around there because Sunny started to say loudly, "No, no, 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 no," and scooched next to me so she was visible. Then went her hailstorm, and she was honestly a force. She launched into it. This is a paraphrase from what I remember. "I'm sorry, Mama Gardner, but you need to know, either Daniel's memory is shoot or he's full of it. Daniel bullied Lily for as long as I can remember. He called her Lumpy Lily all the time. And Harvey, please excuse my language, is just as much of a shit stick, so whatever he told you isn't the half of it." Then she turns on Daniel and asks a barrage of questions like, "You don't remember in 7th grade when you spat in Lily's hair and called it an accident? Or you mean to tell me you don't remember pushing her so hard she was bleeding and went to the nurse? Or how about when you asked her why she was the ugly twin?" And more. No one interrupted her. Daniel tried a couple of times, and she just said, "I'm still speaking," and continued relaying a series of specific events. And then she brought something up that even I didn't remember. Violet was there once when he said Lily must have been the twin that didn't get enough air to the brain because Violet is actually smart and Lily's flunked a test. I can't really transcribe the next 15 or so minutes, but now all mics are turned on, there's talking over one another, questions everywhere, and Daniel suddenly remembering bits and pieces here or there. It did calm down because after a while, Mom, who was the host, used her dashboard and muted everyone but herself. She was the only calm-looking one in the bunch, and she just asked me if this was all true, and I said it was. She asked if I told my father. I said the first few times yes, but afterward no, because he never believed me and I would get grounded somehow for lying. I was crying a bit by this point, because it was all too much, and Sunny was pulling me into her side and rubbing my arm. My father started to say, "Well, Sunny never told anyone about this," and my mom muted him again and just said, "Shut the frick up, Peter," and then asked Violet if it's true she saw this event or any others. Violet was crying too now, and she was not holding Daniel's hand anymore, and mumbled that she didn't remember that. Sunny asked her if she didn't remember or didn't want to. Violet got very defensive and said she loves me and wouldn't let someone hurt me if she really knew they were hurting me. Sunny said, "Oh, so I guess you never once noticed her cutting herself then, even though we shared a room and bathroom." Mom just went, "You're cutting yourself?" And I don't know what word salad I tossed, but I basically said I used to, but worked through it in therapy, and haven't for years now. Mom started to cry, but she was keeping it together and just asked who else knew. Jeremy meekly said he suspected something, but didn't know what I was doing to myself. Dad started to interrupt, telling Jeremy that of course he didn't know. How could he if I never said anything, and rolled out his Lily lies by omission speech before saying to John that he's the eldest and was responsible for the youngest. So what's his excuse here? That there are 6 kids and Dad worked full-time, true, and John was often put in charge of us kids. Also true, even after he was moved out and married. But John never told Dad anything about this, and it's unfair to spring this on them to paint them as bad guys. So, John, how did you not know? And if you knew, why didn't you tell your mother or I? John was pissed, and even though Sarah was trying to calm him down, he said that I never mentioned any of this to him and never told him about hurting myself. Well, his exact words were that he didn't know I was trying to take the coward's way out and end myself. I couldn't take it anymore and just got off the couch to go into the bathroom and cry. So the rest is what Sunny told me. But note please, we sometimes speak 2 other languages, and Sunny doesn't speak either, so some she couldn't really relay to me. They see me leave sobbing and can hear me leave the room. Sunny is glaring at them, trying to transfer all her rage into concentrated energy to somehow make Daniel or my father spontaneous combust so she can hoover their ashes, dump them in a toilet, and shoot on them. Those were her words, not mine. The whole Zoom room went quiet, and the 3 youngest brothers got on John for taking the tone with me and demonizing mental health struggles. Sunny, because I did say I didn't care how much she told them, disclosed that I cut myself all through high school, got so depressed that when I slept over her place, I would sometimes lie and say I've eaten when I hadn't to skip dinner rather than purge, and then I would cry myself to sleep. She named all of Daniel's friends who lied for him. Sarah suggested we all take a break since everyone is so upset. But Jonas was calm and said the only people who are getting upset here have the right to because either they were harmed by all this or did the harm. John told him to shut up in my father's native language, and Jonas said something back. But Sunny didn't know the language, but from what I can guess, he probably told John to make him. Dad started ranting and scolding in his native language, and my brothers all shut up. And my mom asked Daniel to give them the room and go to his ever-so-important meeting, but he refused at first, saying he was in this family now too, to which my mom replied, "Do not push your incredible luck, babes, and log the frick off." Violet asked if she should stay on, and Mom told her no, as she should sit down with her man and have a discussion, and that Mom will call her later. Violet didn't argue, but she made a show of crying and just logged off. Mom asked Sunny if I was okay, and so she got up and checked on me and came back to them chatting about signs they might have missed. Sunny reported that I was all right and staying with her for a while. Mom thanked her and said to the others that she wants to be made crystal clear. No one is blameless here. John complained that Violet isn't getting this speech. Why did Mom not start scolding them all when Violet is the one who brought Daniel home? Mom said she will be dealing with that talk privately, that Violet is grown and can now make her choices fully informed. She asks Sunny to have me call when I am ready and to please keep an eye on me. Sunny told me that Mom asked Dad to stay on the line so they can talk, and John slammed his computer closed to log out, and the others simply looked sad. Sunny relayed all this to me once I'd showered, and she said to not forget to get dressed and screw the movie. I invited our friend group out to our favorite bar. Let's get the frick out of here. I said that I needed to be alone for about an hour to think, and she said she understood, but she doesn't want me alone right now because she's worried after all that shitstorm. So we compromised that she would drop me off at the bar, as we are regulars and know the whole staff, and I can sit and think alone, but in public for the 45-ish minutes the errand will take her. I wrote most of this update there, but it turns out I didn't have to think very long at all. Violet had texted and asked if we can talk, and I said not right now, and cited that it's girls' night, so I'm out with Sunny and some friends. She responded quickly and asked if they're all calling her a bad person, and I asked if she felt that way. I wasn't trying to shame her. I was genuinely curious. She just said she feels ganged up on, asked me how much Sunny told me, and I said she told me everything. She asked when we could talk, just me and her, and I said tomorrow. Then I spent a lot of the night drinking with my friends who did cheer me up a bit. I was pretty sauced by the time I called my mom. She asked me if I was drunk, and I admitted it like, well, yeah, I'm 31, Mom. And she didn't say anything much about it. She said she is at a loss and doesn't know what to do and doesn't know what will help her children in this. She's afraid to make things worse. So what do I wish she would do right now or going forward? I just said that she listened to me and that I know it ended in a sort of circus, and maybe we don't need a full peanut gallery next time, but it made me happy that she listened to me. She was quiet and asked me if I felt like she didn't listen before. And I said she worked a lot, and that's her job, so I get it. But sometimes, no, I didn't feel like she was open to listening to me at all. That made her cry, and she kept saying, "I'm so sorry, baby." And I started to cry too. So I quickly said, I love her and will always love her, and she's my mom, but I'm not wanting to start up again, so let's call it a night. So we ended the call. She did mention that if Vi hasn't already, she will be reaching out to me and said, I want you both to listen to one another fully and really talk about this, and whatever choices you both make, you can make informed ones. I'll transcribe some of what I can about Violet's call this morning on my account, as I don't want to clog this sub up with any more trauma dumps indefinitely. But if you're too fatigued by this point, I don't blame you. So the overview is, it didn't go well. Thanks for the kind words. Some of you really are incredible support. Some comments really made me cry. Some made me think. I see my therapist at lunch. I suspect we'll use the full time. I won't nonsense you. I don't feel better right now. John is on a warpath. Da is ignoring me. The others are just apologizing, but they are just sorrying through it and seem to feel really sad. My family feels fractured, which is what I was trying to avoid. But I don't know how much longer I would have been able to bear it all alone in secret. I should feel good, right? Like a weight has been lifted or whatever. Instead, I feel like I traded one weight for another. I hate hearing my mom cry. It breaks me into pieces. I hate feeling like my dad hates me. I hate that my sister blames me for all of this. I hate it all so much, and it's dawning on me that there is no path back to where things used to be. I know logically that this is a good thing or will be eventually, but right now, I am not ruled by logic. Sorry for the depressing ending, but I guess c'est la vie. Vi has chosen to go no contact with me for a few weeks. I never wanted that, but I can't make her choices for her. If you're here, you want to know the nitty-gritty of the call I had the morning after the Zoom call from Hades with my family. So here it is. I translated some of this because we sometimes switch in the languages my father speaks with his family, so some might sound a bit stilted and weird. I'm no linguist, but I did record it. I don't know what I wanted to come of that, but Sunny and some of you convinced me better safe than sorry. I hate that I can't trust my twin, but I frankly don't. On to it. Violet called right on time at 6 a.m. She had work, and were I not taking time off, I would too. I never told my family I was taking time off. I didn't want to further guilt anyone or make them feel blamed for my current state. We small talked a bit. She saw our niece the other day. My home state has lovely weather right now, anything and everything to avoid the elephant. Then she said, well, yesterday sucked. I laughed and said, fuck, it was the worst, but maybe for the best. She says, you really think so? No, or I don't know. Not sure about it really. Sister, you're not the only one getting blowback on this. I don't know how you want me to respond to that. That's what you're giving me right now? I tried to tell you privately. Remember that? So you decide embarrassment is better? I didn't call a family meeting. You never told me. Nonsense. I did. More than once. Whatever you're about to say, you and I both know I tried. The cutting. You never told me. V, I didn't even try to hide it from you. That's not the same thing. Okay, so what do you want from me right now? What do you want me to say? Sorry would be nice. You first then. For what? I went on what I knew, what I was told. I never assumed anything. Me, are you really saying this right now? Do you even believe yourself? My wedding might be off now because you needed what? What did you want from this? I don't know. So my relationship with Daniel, and Mom, by the way, casualties because you don't know. Me crying. I wanted to not be the troubled one for 5 seconds, okay? I wanted the truth to come out. I wanted you to believe me. Oh, get off it. I get it. I'm the bad guy, like you made Dad the bad guy, and now they are divorcing. Is that what you wanted? What do you mean they're divorcing? Check our chat. Dad's not even home. That's not my fault. Nothing ever is now, is it? That isn't fair. We fight a lot, and I admit to saying some mean things just as much as she did, but then I ask her, "Did you know?" Daniel told me. When? When he got home. But he's not who he was. We were kids. Lily. She calls me a dumb nickname only she uses when she's upset. Me. I was a kid too. How does he get a pass for lying so much, and especially to you, and making it look like he's taking moral high ground by burying a freaking hatchet he wielded? It's fricked up. It's all so fricked up now. I told him, and I said he was a weenie for lying and for what he did, but his mom was sick. It wasn't personal. So what am I supposed to do? Sister, he's offered to apologize. And would that help, do you think? I don't respond, so she asks again, and I don't answer that time either. Would it help if I apologized? Would you mean it? What do you mean, would I mean it? For frick's sake, me. Vi, I'm tired. I don't want to fight. I'm all out of fight. I'm full up to here with fights. I can't defend my position anymore. I can't repeat the same shoot over and over and you not hear me. I'm done trying to convince you or anyone. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I can't do this anymore. I'm so damn tired, and I break down. She stays on the line a while and then just hangs up. I've pulled myself together enough to make Sunny breakfast and see her off to work. So it's just me and the dog. So I think I will find a place with a patio and take my dog out for a spell and just take up some sunshine. Listen, I'm sorry. This all is just too much. It's like I don't know you anymore. You hid a lot from me, and I am your twin. I should know everything there is to know about you, and you should know the same about me. When did this happen to us where we don't share anymore? Kay, I think I need some space from you. I'm sorry for hurting you. I really am, Lil. But this is freaking with my sanity, and I just can't deal with you and take care of myself and take care of the people I need to take care of. I'll unblock you in a couple weeks. I love you lots. Take care of yourself. Well, ain't today the day that keeps on giving? I got out of therapy feeling, okay, not good, certainly not great, and maybe not even better, or maybe it is. I don't know anymore. I'm glad I went because I really was just going to cancel and lay back down on Sunny's couch and hug my dog until I could sleep. But it turns out I needed to talk things out. I'm preempting a lot by sending my therapist this entire account link, and I guess she's a fast reader. We sat down and talked it out, and she helped me make some really hard choices. I'm going LC with Dad and John specifically. How long is there bihishi? But the family group chat has been taken over by their weenie measuring contest and trying to figure out who is more to blame. It was so bad that Jonas made another chat specifically without them and Violet so we can resume sending meaningless memes and such. My therapist helped me craft my texts to both of them. It basically said that I understand this is hard for them, but it's been hard on me too. I told John that I do not blame him for not knowing what he didn't know, and that I was sorry Dad is trying to shift blame on him. But that does not excuse blaming me. And until he is able to see the situation for what it is, it's best I go LC. I want to keep contact for the sake of his kids who I adore and would die for, and that I care about him. And as I am getting therapy, I hope he will too. I told Dad that John is not at fault. John is not my parent. I told Dad that now when I have negative thoughts, it's in his voice. His choice to say he won't be my dad may have been an empty threat in his mind, but the impact of that was massive. I need space away from him. I don't know for how long, but I can't find a healthy balance with him right now, and the way he treated me really hurts. I had no time to even block him. Dad shot back at me and asked if this is my precious daughter talking or if I am parroting my mom. I dig what that means, but I can make a guess. I said, no, it's Lily, a person he really never got to know. He said he won't accept that, and that I am punishing him for not being close to me by not allowing him the chance to be close to me and shutting him out. He started to make demands. We call once a week. I visit more often, things like that. I said no. He said then he will visit me. I said no. He said, you can't tell me what to do. That's not how that works. I said he won't be welcomed, and if he can't take LC for a time, then I will go no contact. This is my boundary and a hill I will die on, so he should think before he makes a decision. He called me callous and uncaring and hasn't replied anything else, so I blocked him for now. I did get to chat briefly with Jonas. He was crying a lot and saying he was sorry. He said he was wrapped up in his own drama and didn't dig deeper to find out what was going on with me, and now he feels like a worthless brother. I told him he isn't worthless. He's my big brother, and I love him to death. Now that everything is out in the open, we can confront it head-on, one small step at a time. He then said, "You're not mad at me?" And I said I was before for a long time, but I had lumped him in with everyone. There was a time I was mad at the world. I don't miss the person that caused me to become. He said from now on he will try to do better, and he was sorry about Dad's attitude. I'm glad I was able to talk with him. Jeremy is another story. He's just gone silent. No one has heard from him yet. If I know him the way I think I do, he's balling it all up inside and beating himself up. Out of my brothers, he's the deep feeler and the one I am closest to. He's protective, somewhat overly so. I would hazard a guess that he isn't very okay right now. Mom texted that she will check on him. I did reply and asked how she is, and she told me now is not the time to be concerned about her. It's time she be a mother, so she will see after her children. We all chimed in to say that she is actually amazing in her own way, and this alone didn't make her a bad mother. She only said that, nevertheless, she has making up to do and hasn't much responded from there either. I wish I could say that I felt things, but I'm honestly so numb right now. I think I've cried as much as one human can, and the urge to cut was really loud in my head. Past tense. That wave passed finally, and I took a deep breath like I was holding one in for days. My therapist is really on board with me using Reddit. She said she likes how expressive I am when it's pretty anonymous, and maybe that's a way I can let things out. Guess I'm here to stay. She gave me homework on that front. Apparently there are subs for the collective shitstorms that have become my life. I can post there or post right here, just on my account. So frick it, I guess. Lastly, I am considering a leave of absence from work. I love what I do, but I really need time to process before I throw myself in a room of tiny humans with big feelings. I always try to show up and bring my A game for my kids, but right now, I'm a D game at best and a flunker at worst. I do have a lot of PTO, and I might use a chunk. Travel, update my home, go on weird misadventures with the dog. IDK. Haven't decided yet. If you're still reading, thanks for going on a sliver of my odd journey with me. For everyone who sent me sweet messages, sorry for not responding to all, but it's a lot, and I am still just so tired. I know the tiredness will give way to the grief again. I expect to cycle through some extremes for a while. I know not everyone is her biggest fans, but my mom has really been stepping up. She's paying for my therapy now and has joined Facebook, which for her, trust me, is a big deal, just to add all of us. She said she is going to therapy soon, starts next week, and offered to delve into savings if any of my siblings wish to start, and she will pay for the first 3 months for any of us, but for me, she says a year. It's a huge financial relief, and I am so grateful because now I can take up the emergency session option that wasn't covered by insurance and don't have to deal with the out-of-pocket bills for a while. I'm going to work on my homework. I'm sitting in a pub I like in my city, watching the rain, and waiting for a late lunch date with another bestie. I guess I have to come up with a name for her eventually. Not now, though. I will try to end these depressing rants with a positive quote or thought from now on. This quote is actually from Sunny in response to a comment we read somewhere in my posts where someone said something about the axe forgetting, but the tree remembers. Sunny said, "Funny thing about trees, though, their roots are deep and they can heal, and so can you." Am I the idiot for refusing to give my judgmental sister the recipe for my late sister's cheesecake? I, male 58, am the youngest of a large, dysfunctional family, and while I am at least cordial, I would prefer to have as little contact with my surviving siblings as possible. The one sister, Beth, I did get along with, has since passed on. I'm not what you would consider an expert baker, but I enjoy it. My late sister and I used to get together for Christmas at her place. One of my contributions to the dinner was a cheesecake I made from a recipe I found on the internet. The first time I tried it, I thought it was decent, but also felt I could improve it. And over the years, I've experimented with the recipe, adding new ingredients, changing the amounts of other ingredients. I eventually perfected the recipe, and I think I've done sufficient modifications to make it officially my cheesecake recipe. Since my sister's passing, I still make it and give it away to friends in Beth's memory. I've gotten many compliments on it, even some saying it's the best cheesecake they've ever tasted. One person I made it for paid me very generously to make another one. The problem now arises when another of my sisters, Jean, came down for a visit. I wasn't happy about this, but I humored her. For those who want to know why I don't care to see her, she's very religious and condemns gay people, insisting that anyone who's gay chose to be gay. I also shared with her a story about some cruel treatment I used to receive from yet another of our sisters, Anne, and Jean flat out said she didn't believe that Anne was ever so cruel. So, essentially, Jean has called me a liar twice. She asked me to make the cheesecake I made for Beth and me. So, I did. She loved it and asked for the recipe. I gave her the website I got the recipe from, not my version. However, upon making it herself when she returned home, she quickly picked up on the fact that it wasn't the version I made for her. So, I conceded that I may have changed one or two things and suggested she experiment with it and make it her own. But she wanted to know the exact recipe I used. I refused, saying that it was my recipe and I'm not giving it out. Although I did give it to my best friend's teenage daughter, Allison, who is starting her own baking business. Since my best friend is chosen family, I decided I could share it with his daughter, but told her it was a family recipe now, and to share it only with her children when she has them. She said she understood. But we're family, my sister protested. Oh, you are so not my family, I thought. She's persisted in badgering me for it, and even gotten her own kids involved. Truthfully, I have nothing against her kids or any of my other siblings' kids. It's just my siblings themselves that I would prefer to have nothing to do with. Even 2 of our other siblings have joined in demanding my recipe. This isn't persuading me, it's only making me angry. Am I the idiot for refusing to share my recipe? Now for a few important comments. When OP was asked why he made this super special cake for Jean when she visited, he said, "I should have included it in my OP. Beth was the only sibling who accepted me as a gay man, so of course she'd be the first of my siblings to die. Gee, thanks God. I like to call it Beth's cheesecake, since I spent all that time perfecting it. And I knew that Beth would want me to make it for Jean. I freely admit, Beth is a much better person than I am. As I said in my original post, I'm not really all that great a baker. I can make good stuff, but I think it's more due to quality ingredients I choose. Like I can make great chocolate chip cookies, but that's because I use the Ghirardelli chocolate chips. Quality ingredients really does make a difference. And I also look the right mixture of dark brown sugar, light brown sugar, and white sugar to get the right texture. Apart from that, I just follow the recipe on the bag. You can't really go wrong with that. I'm not a skilled baker at all. I do all right, but it's more a matter of choosing quality ingredients. Then a top commenter said, "We're family," is a convenient trope people pull out of their behinds when they already know they don't treat family members with consideration, kindness, or respect. I'll be family when you treat me like your family. This is fixable, Jean. But that means you'll have to change into someone better. Let me know when the new and improved you shows up. A recipe is the least of what I'd give someone who treats me with consideration, kindness, and respect. Not the idiot. Just be honest and firm with her. She is on some total bunk. Now for the next day update. First, thank you everyone for all the thoughtful replies. I have upvoted all of you, even those who disagreed with me. I was very touched by some of your comments and got rather emotional, and I'm not even sure why. And some of you were outright hilarious, but you also gave me something important to think about. Namely, why am I even bothering to walk on eggshells, trying to placate people who have rejected me? I guess I was so used to doing it for the sake of our mother. Our father died when I was 18. But Mom died in 2015, and Beth died about a year and a half later. So who am I keeping up this facade for? Because I happen to live in Florida, and they live up north. They refer to my home, which I purchased without any help from anyone, as the vacation home, which is why Jean felt free to invite herself to my house. So I don't need to keep the peace for anyone. especially for people who are so openly contemptuous of me and have me adopting this servile role to stay in the family's good graces. Well, screw their good graces. I finally realized that I don't give a shoot if they like me or not. So, I followed the suggestion a few of you have made and blocked them, and it actually feels quite nice to have done it. Now for a few relevant comments. OP shares the website for the recipe. Okay, that I will do. It's public domain, and if people are curious, this is the recipe. I modified ghirardelli.com/appease. White chocolate raspberry cheesecake, Rew 1134. And I will also point out, it's not a bad recipe. In fact, it's really good. I did not give Jean a shitty cheesecake recipe. I doubt she took one bite, devolved into vomitous retching, called poison control, threw it away, then called her lawyer to sue me for attempted unalive. She had a good cheesecake if she did it right. And it's not that hard. But I've probably made at least 20 of these cakes over the years since my first attempt. I learned new things, substitute ingredients, and it's just now my recipe. Just to give you some idea of the direction I moved in, although this is by no means a comprehensive list of every modification I made, I felt the white chocolate taste was too subtle. So I adjusted something. I also felt there were things I could add, replace to make it smoother and richer. As for the topping, it wasn't quite tart enough for my taste, so I made some adjustments in that too. Again, that is not everything I did to this recipe. However, this covers the major changes and why I chose to make them. Also, keep in mind, I started doing this in my late 40s. And basically everyone I gave it to is around Beth's age, who died from breast cancer 10 days after her 60th birthday. When you get up in years, as we have, your taste sensitivity goes down. What might be wonderful for me might be slightly overpowering for you. So that is my base recipe. And that's all the information I want to share about how I changed it. Keep in mind, I did give the recipe to Allison, who is an aspiring professional baker and businesswoman. She may not even use my recipe, or she might even find a way to improve upon the recipe even more than I did. But because I placed it in an aspiring professional's hands, I don't feel it's right to give it here, especially since I told her that it's a family recipe. I hope you all understand. So get out your springform pans and get creative. Am I the idiot for calling out my entitled neighbor for not cleaning up after her dog? Man, I am still trying to process an exchange I had this morning. I was sitting on my balcony having breakfast, and there was this woman I've never spoken to walking her dog. We don't know her, but my roommate and I see her down there pretty much every day. She's around our age, I would guess, so either in her 30s like us, or maybe in her 40s. We've never exchanged so much as a hello up to this point. Now, I really like my apartment complex. It's cute and pleasant to walk around, and the only thing that really sucks is when people don't clean up after their dogs. It's so freaking gross, and I hate when people don't do it. You're a grown-up who made a choice to have a pet. That comes with responsibilities that you have to keep up with. Most people around here do clean up after their dogs that I've seen, so we know it's just a few rotten eggs. If I see people who don't look like they're doing it, I call them out, which I know comes with risks, but come on, people. The response is sometimes defensive, sometimes a bit of twisting the truth, like, oh, I was just going to. But they all know that they should be doing it. Anyway, this woman has her dog right by our balcony, and my friend and I were just chatting until I noticed the woman walking away without cleaning it up. So I said, in a tone more polite than the situation probably merited, "Excuse me, are you going to clean up after your dog?" And she says in this snide, snotty voice, "No, I'm good, thanks." I immediately burst out laughing, though not the good-humored kind, because I couldn't believe the audacity. I said, "Wow, that's really pathetic," which apparently is more than she'd expected me to do, because she came marching back. I have to imagine most people don't call this woman out. For her to have that kind of immediate vitriol makes me think she's kind of spoiled, just in general, and was angry I'd embarrassed her. But she clearly knew I was right, because she had to come back and double down. So she comes running at us with this kindergarten logic and goes, "I'm not the only one who doesn't clean up after my dog. Lots of people don't clean up after their dogs." And I was like, "So? How does that absolve you of adding to the problem? She keeps going on about how other people do it too. So I said, cool. Then give me their names. Let's have a list because I don't see any of them right now. And she's like, open your eyes and figure it out for yourself. I was like, that's what I'm doing right now. She keeps shouting that she doesn't have to do anything she doesn't want to, and she doesn't care what I think. So I was like, holy crap, I have never met such an entitled person. It's insane to me that you're getting this angry over someone expecting basic decency out of you. And she says, no, you're entitled. I burst out laughing again and said, I clean up after my animals. Me telling you I don't appreciate you leaving messes on our shared property doesn't make me entitled. You're a grown butt woman who knew what responsibilities she'd have when she got a pet. There are tons of other people who don't want to see your dog's crap. You're not the main character. At this point, I feel like this woman has never been confronted beyond her first snarky response, and I have a bubbly and friendly tone normally, so she probably had expected to have scared me or shocked me into silence with that callous initial reaction, because she is practically melting down, trying to upset me while my friend and I laughed. She gave me a snarky, have a nice day, and I wished her the same in an equal tone. Then she waddled off. And no, that's not me calling her fat. She was actually really fit. She just walks in a very exaggerated, cartoonish way like Jessica Rabbit or some crap. I thought she was doing it to be snarky, but my friend said she just always walks like that. We took a short video of her, sadly not of the incident itself as we had to go grab our phones, and I plan to take it to the front office just to let them know. It's only step one. I doubt anything will be done with just this, but this has been driving me crazy. And I'm ready to start holding rude people accountable. Fortunately, I can use the corporate offices if the people here don't start to put pressure on people who are blatantly breaking their lease. It's right in there that you have to clean up after your animals. I'm not trying to get anyone evicted, but I'm hoping she at least feels the pressure to act like a grown-up and take care of her pets. Like, I wouldn't cry if she got a fine or something. Seriously, though, it's painful to me that people like this even exist. She was so confident that she was somehow in the right that she didn't even try to lie about it. Like, woman, you aren't 12. The other people do it argument isn't going to hold up in court, LaMayo. Now for some additional information. When asked if there are dog bag dispensers nearby, OP said, yeah, there are bag dispensers in 3 spots around the main square, so they don't even have to go back to get them. It's just laziness and entitlement, sadly. But yeah, while things like that suck for sure, these are always instances where they weren't facing that kind of problem. I'm glad you're a good dog owner. I feel like going out of my way to praise people for basic decency when I see it. Now for the 17-hour update. So yesterday, I posted about having a nasty encounter with a neighbor of mine who is apparently too good to pick up after her dog. She made sure to let me know that I was the entitled one for not wanting dog poop all over the property, and she made sure to toss in some classist remarks expecting maintenance people to clean it up. Someone suggested in the comments that she might be the pathetic sort to come back and intentionally try to provoke us. I thought for sure she wouldn't be that dumb. Turns out I was the fool for giving her that much credit, but it's a good thing she did, because I got a great video of her. I'm not going to upload it for a number of reasons, but I might if she tries to do it to me. It played out in Entitled Loser 101 to a degree that it almost felt unreal. I can't believe people like this truly exist. She came by, intentionally brought her dog right beneath our balcony this time and waited. I was like, cool, let's record. So we sit there, she waits for her dog to poop, then she starts to walk away, of course. Proof. Thank you. However, as she walked away, she saw that I was recording and turned back. She started shrieking, "Oh my God, are you trying to record me? You know that's illegal, right?" I said, "Yes, I am. It's not illegal. You're in a public space." She starts yelling at me to mind my own business and that none of this concerns me. I told her that it did concern me because I live here too, and I don't want a poop-covered apartment complex, nor do any of the other residents, I would imagine. She told me I didn't own the complex, like that makes it okay. Do you, ma'am? We had a back and forth, and she started recording me back, telling me threatening things like, "Thanks for exposing yourself," implying that she's going to dox me and put it online. Hopefully nothing comes of that just because I want my privacy, but I haven't done anything wrong, so I'm not worried about it otherwise. When that didn't upset me, as she'd clearly intended, she started trying to insult me, and it was hilarious. "This is probably because of your weight, XD." My best friend and I burst out laughing. She called me a fat, so I started recording again to catch anything else she might say. She told me she was reporting me, and I told her to please do it so they'd know who she was when I report her. It was freaking bonkers. This woman is a nightmare. I'm actually worried this is going to escalate into something even worse. But I guess we'll see. So the second she left, we took the video down to the front office. I showed it to one of the landlords, who was appalled. I mentioned the day before and how that had gone down, and I verified that she was indeed breaking her lease. Also, the landlord thanked me for policing people who just leave dog poop behind. She said they've been trying to get people to take responsibility, and it's turning into a real issue. After that, she gave me her email and asked me to send her the videos. I did so, and now we'll see how it unfolds. I also told her that the woman threatened to report me, so she may actually call in herself and unintentionally turn herself in. I also mentioned worrying about potential retaliation so that it's just out there. If she calls the cops, I fortunately have the video, so she won't be able to make up anything about me harassing her or something. I've been told to not engage with her if she comes back again, but to just contact the office and tell them she's here. I really don't know what to expect. I just wanted to enjoy a nice morning on my balcony. I'm seriously blown away. All this because someone asked you to pick up your dog's poop. What is this world coming to? Now for the final update. Hey guys, sorry it's been a while. I know a lot of people have been wanting an update. Unfortunately, it's not as exciting as some of you were hoping for, but I'm actually happy with how things went down. So the very next day, DPG showed up again, but this time she didn't come over near our balcony. I don't know if someone in her life told her she was going to get in trouble or what, but it seemed clear she still wanted us to know she was just fine with what had happened. I emailed the landlords, as they'd requested, and said she was outside right now, etc. The office thanked me, and then I never heard from them again. The next day, a different woman was walking her dog. I thought that was kind of weird, but I figured maybe she hired someone so she could leave that job to someone beneath her. For around a month or two, I can't remember the full timeline, we didn't see her, and we could only speculate. Maybe she lived with her boyfriend here. One of my roomies said she saw her with a guy, and he told her to stop staying over if she was going to cause problems. Maybe she got the fine and threw a temper tantrum and left. I figured she also could just be avoiding our side of the property. It was hard to say, but I was just glad to not have to deal with her. Finally, a couple weeks ago, I was heading to the other side of the property, and I saw her with her dog. So she's still here, clearly just avoiding our side of the complex. And that is more than fine with me. No idea what went down throughout that period, and I'm not sure I ever will. I did notice she seemed to have dog poop bags with her this time, though, Mayo. I can only speculate that they caught her, fined her, and told her there'd be more fines after that. I don't know what happened, but they took some sort of action with the dog owners in our building, because I now see every dog owner walking around with bags. The dog poop problem has gotten much better. Maybe knowing their neighbors were watching and tired of their nice walking area being covered in excrement motivated them to be more responsible. Here's hoping it stays at this level. I really don't like having confrontations, but I'm also not really one to put up with other people's crap, figuratively or literally. I know that some of you were hoping for a big explosion or some juicy details regarding this woman being put in her place. I'm personally just glad to not have to see her anymore. She never tried to retaliate, thankfully, and I'm guessing people in her life let her know she was digging her own grave. I actually wonder if part of why she avoids us completely is so that we don't see that she's being forced to pick the poop up now, which is a hilarious thought. If anything else suddenly happens, I promise to update again. But as it is, it looks like this has sort of quietly solved itself. I do kind of wish I knew more details, just out of my own nosiness. But we can at least all be satisfied with the fact that she was absolutely convinced she was in the right, and it blew up in her face. She's probably still awful, of course, but at least someone is holding her accountable. I waited this long to see if anything else happened, but it looks like this might be the end of the story, which I'd honestly prefer. However, if anything comes up again, like I said, I'll let you all know. Thanks for sharing and venting with me while I dealt with a very, very frustrating situation. I appreciated all of your comments and support.